Welcome back to MTPW episode 5. The first milestone, well, I guess the second milestone we've hit. Excuse me, the first first episode was the first milestone. Now it's the second one. If I was
Some
tech
would say this is the fifth milestone.
oh, yeah. If I was tech savvy, I'd probably have like some confetti blowing off, noises and all that stuff, but I can probably edit that in post production. But yeah, episode 5 of MTPW. Feels good to say that. Um, yeah, and this is probably our biggest week. Week of wrestling that we've been doing the podcast because this weekend is going to be the Royal Rumble, but we gotta get there
And then
first.
we'll start the road to WrestleMania.
Yes, everyone's favorite time to be a wrestling fan because that's when the best storylines are going to occur. But the only WWE stuff we'll be talking about on this episode is SmackDown, which I don't could be second or could be third, but you know, the only routine we have so far in this podcast slash YouTube video slash whatever is that we always start off with AEW Dynamite results, right, Mark?
Boom it down and lie. Temper in the line to the bitch off fly. Break the booze. Dynamite. That's
Hey,
my
yeah.
11 o'clock attempt at singing that song.
But yeah, it's AEW. Um,
That's right, the flagship wrestling for the flagship start of our pod.
it starts off with a happy birthday promo with Brody Lee Jr.
Happy
Negative one,
birthday. Happy birthday, Brody.
-1, and so that comes out with and then Dark Order and they face against TH2 and Chaos Project. Mark, I think this type of match is up your wheelhouse. So you want to talk about what occurred?
Yeah, so Dark Order is represented by Colt Cabana, Silver, Reynolds, and Hangman Adam Page. Lots of back and forth, but ultimately we see Dark Order get the win um, in the midst of everything happening. Um, we got to see a really cool move into the finish. I mean, there's lots of back and forth throughout the match, but Hangman looks like a star. Hangman shines in this match. The finish comes where John Silver has Serpentico in like a belly to back position, and he hits like a almost like a German suplex combined with Hangman's buckshot lariat, and then Reynolds runs in, gets a jackknife pin on Serpentico for the win, and in the midst of the birthday celebration, um, -1 chimes in with the Dark Order, and he berates them just like his dad used to on BTE. He says, "My birthday was 3 days ago, you idiots," and he gets to throw the papers. And so, again, just another really great tribute to his dad. He got some kendo stick shots in on the bad guys. But then the big aspect from this match was the post match moment in the ring where we finally got the ultimatum answer of will Adam Page join the Dark Order? And Adam Page declined to join the Dark Order. And so the Dark Order prematurely celebrated, but Adam Adam just tells him he's really enjoyed his time with the Dark Order over the last few weeks, but he tried the group thing before and the group thing did not work. And so on his way leaving the ring, he grabs a bottle of Jack from Stu Grayson and he walks off to the back as Dark Order is dejected from not getting Adam Page to join the Dark Order.
Yeah, you also forgot how I don't know, was it Brody Jr. or was it one of the Dark Order members knocked Walter? into the cake.
Um, I don't remember. I
That
was
that was the only
not
that was just like the only thing that you didn't include that I remembered from it. Um,
not that I didn't want to include it. I'm just trying to keep it
gotcha,
moving.
gotcha. How you doing? Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Um, I like it. Adam Page is hopefully this will be the last time he mingles with the Dark Order. I don't at this point I don't know what the point is of Dark Order. I guess it's nice to see, it's nice to see everyone do what they do, but I mean right now it's kind of like I understand why it's kind of flipped. They used to be like a intimidating, you know, heel group, and now they're kind of like a face comedy group. It seems like. Um, I mean I understand why, but it's just I don't know. It's kind of they're kind of forced to do something with that group because they just don't want to end it like that. But yeah, hopefully Paige would. I don't know. I feel like he. What do you think he'll probably do something with the TNT title down the line, or what do you think? What do you think his role will be?
Um, yeah, I'm not sure because I I think, and maybe I've been giving too much into what I've been reading and seeing some other people say online, but I think that um, Adam is really gonna have throughout 2021. It's gonna kind of be a big story of like his redemption. He out of everybody in the elite, like back when AEW first formed, like he was the one who won the world championship opportunity, and then he lost that to Chris Jericho, and then a lot of people said when he and Kenny ended up teaming together that it was Kenny. Kenny was the reason that he was tag team champions, and so there's always kind of been that like Hangman Adam Page is like lesser than anybody else that's involved in the elite, and so I think that what at least what I'm hoping for is that we're going to continue to see this story build, as far as Hangman working through like the pain and the hurt from everything that happened with the elite, and ultimately his first championship loss, and then I'll also added into that he lost the diamond ring to MJF, and so what I would like to see is eventually maybe in September that gives Kenny a good 9-10 month reign, about 9 months actually, reign with the belt. Um, Let him just heal through, do all the Biz Cliz stuff, and um, that leads us into this big redemption. Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship in September at All Out. Um, but we'll see. We'll see um, how that goes. In the meantime, I'm not really sure what's next for him. I don't know how his story will continue. I'm excited to see what comes from it, though. That's for sure. Because I think this next time period is only going to be crucial to really continue to build Adam's rise to redemption.
Up next, we saw a Don Callis and Young Bucks promo in Kenny Omega's house. The Young Bucks was trying to talk to Kenny, but Don Callis said he was busy. And we saw awesome not photo, awesome painting of Kenny and Don Callis together with muscle like six pack bodies. I thought that was pretty funny.
You skipped a lot of stuff, pal.
What are you talking about?
You skipped a backstage segment with Chris Jericho and MJF with Alex Marvez,
Oh,
and
my
you
bad.
skipped, well, I understand why you skipped this, but you also skipped Darby Allin congratulations ceremony from Sting.
Okay. No.
I can't believe you would do that. That you would disrespect the TNT champion like that.
I know my hatred for Darby Allen is so great that I'd rather talk about the Young Bucks.
That's bold.
But no, I thought that was like other than the painting of Don Callis and Kenny Omega, it ended with what looked like the Young Bucks getting ready to attack Don Callis. I thought it was a pretty good promo. Uh, I'm kind of, you know, I'm, you know, after what you said of last week, Mark, trying to go with it with open mind. That's what I'm going with, and I'm not trying to make sense of it. I'm just, seeing from, the Young Bucks' point of view is, they like Kenny, but they don't like what's going on. So, and also they kind of talked about how Don Callis, picked the Good Brothers over the Young Bucks, saying how there was miscommunication in his headset. So, yeah, I thought that was a pretty good promo.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it adds that suspense. What's going to happen next, and where's this going to go?
Up next, we got to see Cody Rhodes versus, I don't know, Peter Avalon.
Pretty Peter Avalon.
Uh, it was a match. Felt too long for my standards. How long has this guy been part of AEW? Peter Avalon.
Peter's been in AEW since it formed. Peter was previously part of a gimmick where he was a librarian. Um,
Okay.
but Leva Bates was also a librarian, so they
Yes.
themselves were the
Yeah.
librarians. And then exactly. And
Yeah.
then
Okay.
for a while Peter Avalon was teaming with Brandon Cutler on Dark,
Okay.
and they were because they were both losing a bunch of matches, and then they kept losing more matches
As a team.
together as a team, and so then they did like a basically like a who sucks the most match, which I'm pretty sure Peter Avalon finally lost, and then they split those guys up. And now Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler are both wrestling matches on Dark, and they're both winning now. So um, I thought it was a kind of interesting choice. I mean, it was nice to see Peter Avalon on the big show with Cody. Um, but like you said, I felt like it went a little long. I definitely thought that this would kind of be a bit of a squash, especially with
Or like
early
a
on.
a competitive 8 minute match where not like fit. I don't know how long it went, but it went. I think it went 10 plus. And also we got to see Jay Cargill come out.
Right, and I definitely thought that that would kind of lead to like a screw job kind of finish for the match where Peter would get upset over Cody, but it didn't really do anything. So it kind of makes you ask this question like, Jade comes out, Peter hit a low blow on Cody while the referee is distracted, but it didn't amount to anything because Cody still gets the win after probably another 10, 15 minutes in the match.
So like, what are they trying to do with her and Cargill, with him and Cargill, Cody?
I don't know. Um,
Is it Shaq? Is that gonna be
I
the?
think it has something to do with Shaq, which we will find out more on this week's. I almost said this week's Impact on this week's Dynamite.
Eh,
So
so stupid. Oh,
hey, maybe we're gonna get to see that Shaq match we never got but always wanted in
oh, we did
WWE.
it. No one's asking for a Shaq match. All right, what was up next for you? Because from what I read, it may be skipping some stuff.
Up next after the match, we go backstage with FTR and
Okay.
Tully talking about FTR being number one in the official tag team rankings. Jurassic Express comes in, and Jungle Boy cuts a pretty decent promo, which leads to him and Dax setting up a one-on-one match the following week for Dynamite.
Yep. That should be a pretty good match. Knowing those two of what we saw last week, and hopefully we get to see Jungle Boy's full entrance on TV because I want to hear his theme. What was up next?
Um, Up next, well, by the way, I think that there has been a stipulation added to that match for this week. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I had heard. So if you end up seeing some kind of stipulation added to the match, you heard it here, but you probably heard it somewhere else first. Up next, we have the in ring return of the former world champion in John Moxley as he went one on one against Nick Camarado, or however you say his name. But um,
I mean,
you know,
it was a squash match. It was this guy's debut. I mean, it was just kind of this was just making John, Moxley look good. Up until his match with Omega. But what was your thoughts on that Nick guy?
I mean, he's okay. He's a pretty big dude. Um, I'd be interested to see more of him
Hmm.
to formulate a more complete opinion. But
He was part of NXT just for 1 year in 2019. Released.
I didn't know that.
He was part of the COVID releases. It seemed like
Uh,
he was not. Seemed like he was mostly a like live event NXT guy. So they were probably may have been they were they were probably training him or something, but like he wasn't on NXT TV. I don't think so.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good match. Always cool to see Moxley wrestle on TV.
Right,
Because it's a big Moxley podcast.
of course. After the match, Moxley cuts a good promo talking about it doesn't matter who comes in at AEW or where they come from. Um, Line them up, he's gonna knock them down, and all roads lead through him, regardless of if they come from Tokyo or Nashville or Jackson or Orlando. It doesn't matter who or where. All roads lead through Moxley.
Do. All right, what's up next?
Next, we get a backstage segment with Eddie Kingston talking about his first time match against Lance Archer. Um, Kingston says he doesn't prepare; he just fights. Archer shows up and tells Kingston he's ready to
Okay.
fight, and they jaw back and forth. And then Jake Roberts jaws some more, and basically a bunch of jawing. I'm excited. That's going to be a hard hitting match
Yeah.
this week. Um, I will say this, and Moxley in a interview, I don't remember where, um, but Moxley was asked a question about who he thought was the most underrated wrestler in AEW, and his answer was Lance Archer, and I might have to agree with that statement. Lance Archer is dang good.
Which is kind of funny because, well, what did he first come? Like he fought Cody, or was it
For
Moxley
the
when he first
he
came
well
in?
he wrestled. I think he wrestled Cody for the TNT Championship and
Yeah.
lost, and then he had a title match against Moxley, and he lost that too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He's kind of like that. He's just kind of like Archer's kind of like in that Brian Cage area, where they're so good, but it's just like caught at a bad time. You know, Archer being with Moxley, who wasn't going to drop it at that point, and for some reason Brian Cage losing to Darby Allin, who just got the
Right,
TNT title.
right.
All right, what's up next?
Up next, I mean, I think there's a commercial, but then at some point we come back. Um, Marvez is backstage trying to talk to Kenny Omega about what happened at the beach, and Kenny's like, "Well, why were you at my house? That's really strange." Don Callis comes in, and you see Don Callis's face is bruised from his attack
I didn't see it.
that he received. That's because you didn't watch AEW.
He was wearing
Um,
sunglasses. I couldn't see it.
he takes his glasses
Oh
off. I'm
yeah,
literally looking at a picture right now.
my bad.
Um, but Don Callis is showing the marks from a Young Bucks beat down. Kenny's like, "What happened? What happened? Who did this? Who did this?" And Don's trying to be really secretive about it, and he finally says it was Nick and Matt. Omega shocked. They kick Marvez out of the room before we can get any true answers. And then we come to the next match of the night, which I just felt like all these guys in the match were way too similar for me personally. But
Mhm.
the match was Top Flight and Matt Sydal against Hardy Party. And at this point, um, Hardy Party is wrestling television wise their third
Yeah.
television match in 2 days. Um, after being on Impact Wrestling and AEW Dark, both of those on Tuesday night. Um,
That's not TV though.
no, but I mean, still 3 televised matches in the span of 2 days.
Oh
YouTube
yeah.
is the way of the future, pal. 68,000 people watched that McAfee show and Aaron Rodgers Tuesday today. So thank you, Aaron.
Um.
But anyway, um, for me, I wasn't into this match. I know Top Flight's a good team, and I like where Private Party's going right now. They're kind of flirting this line as far as do we follow Matt and go full blown heel or what do we do? Um,
They won. They won after dark, right?
they won what?
They won on dark, right?
I would imagine that they did, yes.
Okay.
I haven't watched Dark in a long, long time because
Gotcha.
there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And they always scroll the results on Impact or on Impact on Dynamite. So
I don't like how AEW keeps on using 6-man tags, and this was our second one of the night. I'd rather just see like a tag team match or a singles match, or I don't know. I just feel like
what was the first one of the night?
wasn't the Dark Order versus
That
TH?
was an 8 man. That was
Yeah,
an 8 man tag,
yeah,
pal. This is
but
a 6 man tag. It's different. You can't do math. I get that, but
shut up. No, no, I said I don't like it how they do like 6 or 8. But nah, I just feels like I mean it's good for everyone wrestling, but it just seems like this is like what they always do is just when you have like these multi-man matches, like they're just high flying, always like you know everyone groups together and they go outside the ring and stuff. Um,
right,
nah, but I'm really liking Private Party. I know how like I didn't really hate on them when this podcast started, but it was kind of like I just wanted to see what they were doing with them because I feel like they were kind of wasted after being the Young Bucks, in that tag tournament. But dude, like the past like two, like I mean, I watched, we're going to talk about later on Impact, and that was really good as well. Like I like the Impact tag team match more than I like this one, but it wasn't like Private Party's fault. It
right.
just, it
Well, and
just,
you're looking at, spoil. I mean, it's a spoiler in the sense that we haven't talked about it yet, but this is the number one contenders to the Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers. So, um, it's it's cool to see them really gaining momentum. Um, I'll be really interested. I think it's an interesting mix between the Good Brothers and Private Party, and with Matt at ringside and potentially Jerry Lynn and on, who knows what could happen. Um, but we'll talk about that when we get into Impact. But no, I think Private Party's in a really interesting spot. After the match, you see uh, Cassidy pull out a chair at one point, and then after the match, they attack Seidel, and they get back into it with Top Flight. But Hardy Party clears the ring and stands tall as the number one contenders to the Impact Wrestling Championships for the tag team division.
all right. You want to talk about what was up next for you?
Up next, we have the Inner Circle.
Okay.
MJF goes in to chat with the rest of the boys, just talking about the match, wishing everybody kind of like good luck and stuff. Everybody is all cool with MJF except for Sammy Guevara. Um,
As you should.
and so, um, really, I'm again trying to, for me, like I'm not trying to like read things ahead or get into the dirt sheets. Like I'm trying to really hard in the midst of 2021 to just like talk about storylines, but like letting things evolve and going on the journey and waiting to see where things go. And this is one where I'm excited to see where it goes. For the entirety of the inner circle, but also the way that this Sammy MJF thing is building, and it has kind of been building essentially since the start of AEW in a sense, because there's a handful of guys that you can look at in the AEW roster and say like, okay, like this could be a future building block for the success of AEW when guys like Cody and the Bucks and Kenny aren't wrestling anymore. You would still have guys like Hangman Adam Page, MJF, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy to really be that generation, that like first true generation that's like they really got their big start in AEW and carried it onward into the future. So I'm excited to see how that goes. Obviously, that's a big segment leading into the main event for Dynamite tonight, which was the six-man tag team match to decide who was the top team in the inner circle. And up next, we have a women's competition between Penelope Ford and Layla Hirsch.
Of
Obviously,
Impact,
Penelope
right?
Ford. No, she
Okay.
is not of Impact. I don't believe. Um, she's wrestled on Dark a little bit,
Okay.
and I think she's had like one or two other matches on Dynamite. But obviously, the big storyline here, Orange Cassidy's in the crowd because he wants to see his friend, the Butler, to the best. I'm the best man. Miro, and of course Kip Sabian. Um, I know that these two women were wrestling. Obviously, there's a moment where Miro calls for they called him Charles instead of Chuck Taylor. Called for Charles to get involved in the match, and so he has to interfere. Um, typical heel stuff between Miro and Sabian getting involved in Penelope's match. Ultimately, Penelope gets the win. Um, but you can tell that this match is really just, I don't want to say overshadowed, but it's just so full of the rest of the storyline, the fact between the best friends and Miro and Sabian that I think unfortunately for Penelope Ford, who is continuing to improve in the ring, but I think for the story surrounding her, um, this match is overshadowed.
I agree.
After the match, we have Miro. Oh my gosh, I can't not talk this late at night. Calls Charles in, and he tells Charles that he has to look at Orange Cassidy and tell him that Miro is now his best friend. Um, Tyler, what do you think about that? Miro gaining a new best friend in Charles Taylor.
Yeah. It was yeah. I mean, it was funny. I liked it. Um, I mean, just I mean, this whole thing just proves like I mean, I enjoyed what Miro does just because I think he's really good at what he does, but it's just what he's doing right now is stupid, and I don't know. I just think it's weird because you said how he came from a land that had where he had no friends. So like, why is he forcing everyone to be his friend though? I don't know. I'm just rambling.
Because he just wants to have friends. That's what he wants. He wants friendship in video games, and he's found that in Kip Sabian. So um, maybe they're trying to convert Charles and the best friends because they destroyed their video game cabinet. Anyway, after the segment, we go backstage. Um, Good Brothers, we see them backstage putting a beat down on Penta El Cerro M. They throw him into a garage door. Kenny and Dawn show up. Kenny joins in on the beatdown. One of the big things in this beatdown is Kenny Omega and his new championship style, takes off this cowboy boot. It's the point of the boot in Penta's eye, and the group leaves Penta laying by himself. No death triangle around. Um, while the Biz Cliz leaves, uh, laughing in the situation. And then at this point, we get it's kind of like our last advertisements before the main event. We get advertisements for next week's Dynamite, which will be this week, and then next or 2 weeks from now, which will be um, next week's Dynamite for Beach Break. And it looks like the next few weeks of Dynamite are going to be pretty solid. For this week, advertised last week, we've got Jungle Boy against Dax Harwood, Eddie Kingston against Lance Archer. We see that Cody's going to respond to Shaq's comments. Big baby. And then how about can we? Okay, I have to mention this because this is now 2 weeks in a row. So obviously, a few weeks ago, I think this might have been the week that Snoop Dogg was on Impact
Uh,
or Snoop Dogg was on Dynamite. Did you notice that both Excalibur and Chris Jericho could not
yeah,
pronounce
yeah, I
Burt
laughed.
Kreischer's name?
Bert
Did you
Kreischer.
notice? Did you notice that Excalibur messed it up again this week?
Really? He did it on
Yes.
purpose. He just don't know. I mean, that's
I
what he
think
gets
he
for
might
wearing a stupid mask as an
I think
announcer.
I think that he might have done it on purpose this time as like a running joke now. But yes, they mess up his name again. That's all. And then the other
Was
match
that
that
like?
is being
Sorry, was
advertised.
that like promoting the Go Big Show?
Yes.
Okay. I just when I see that I just tune it out.
Well, but I think that was in the mix. I think that was in like Cody's match.
Okay.
Is in the mix of that, I believe. So it wasn't like a full blown advertisement for the show, like they generally do as well.
Gotcha.
Um, the other match that they were advertising for what would be this week's Dynamite is a one of your favorite Tyler 8-man tag team matches between the Dark Order, represented by Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, against the AEW Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, and the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers. What do you think before we go down the beach break lineup that we know so far? What do you think about that 8-man tag match that we're gonna get this week between the Bucks and the Good Brothers against the Dark Order?
Should be good. If it, I really don't like the Dark Order, so I mean, hopefully we get to see Colt Cabana in there, but it's gonna be interesting to see like what will happen between the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. You know, is there gonna be like any shenanigans of them not like trusting each other, trusting each other or anything like that? Um, or like any interference with Omega, so or Callus.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm interested to see how that continues and evolves, and um, I think it'll be a good match. There's some really good workers, lots of really good chemistry, obviously between Uno and Grayson and the Bucks, and I think that right now Silver and Reynolds are in a spot where they're kind of continuing to shine, and their tag team work's getting better, and I think it'll be a really good 8-man match that'll hopefully tell some really good stories and continue to move things down the line. Um, and then advertising for Beach Break, which will be February 3rd, I believe. Should look at the calendar when I say that. Obviously, we have the wedding. We've all been formally invited. First wedding of 2021. Um, Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian's wedding. That should be a magical time, obviously, because every wrestling wedding is a magical time. Nothing ever goes wrong. Nothing. We're also going to see Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker. And then we will have a tag team battle royal where the winners will face the Young Bucks at Revolution. So pretty exciting. The first mention of the first pay per view of the year for AEW going to be Revolution. Probably I haven't seen the release date. I should have looked that up, but probably sometime end of February, beginning of March ish. Um, and then the last thing that's advertised before we get into the main event for tonight is an upcoming Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament to determine the new number one contender for Hikaru Shida's AEW Women's World Title. And the interesting thing about that bracket, I don't know if you noticed it, you probably did, but there was one side of the bracket that was like with an American flag, and then the other side of the bracket was
Japan.
donned with a Japanese flag. So interesting to see how that bracket will fill out and what that's going to look like, as well as like
It's
you know
Revolution, and that's on March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, I was thinking end of February, beginning of March, but I did not have a date. Thank you for that. But I'm interested to see, what that um, tournament bracket's going to look like, especially just considering, we're still kind of in the COVID era and travel restrictions and things like that. I know that since Riho lost the world championship, we haven't really seen much of her. So, like, will she be making a return in the Eliminator tournament? Will we see some new women in the Eliminator tournament? Only time will tell. But we're going to get more information on that as the day gets closer. Anything stick out to you before we hit the main event?
No, I mean it's just gonna be interesting to see what type of wrestlers they're gonna bring in for the women's tournament. Probably gonna see Riho back in it. On the Japan side, nice to see like a former champion. Try to go back after it, but it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna be in that tournament.
For sure. Hopefully, we'll get a released bracket soon, and maybe we'll be able to cover that the next time we talk AEW wrestling here on MTPW. The main event for the night, the six-man tag between Chris Jericho and MJF, the tag team sluts, Santana and
Sexy
Ortiz,
hooligans.
sexy hooligans featuring the tag team slut. There we go. And then, of course, Sammy Hagar, which uh, which actually had
Sammy
a
Hagar.
Sammy Hagar come in and talk about his new favorite tag team. So that was a pretty cool little moment.
Yeah. How much you want about like they just probably just spent like $50 on cameo. That's what they did.
Well, I mean, Chris is a multi world
Yeah.
star,
Money.
professional wrestling and rock and roll music. So I would imagine he probably just reached out to Sammy. Was like, "Hey, can you make this video for my wrestling show?" And
No,
Sammy's like, "Absolutely,
Sammy
dude.
probably reached out to him.
That's right. You're right. Shame on me. I will get better." What were your thoughts? A lot of great action. Really interesting to see these guys go at it in this tag team match. And I know that commentary made mention of it a few times, but like you don't really see matches like this to kind of prove who's the alpha in a faction very often. So I thought it was kind of interesting to see this match, but I also thought it was really good. Um, I thought it was obviously the right decision as far as closing the show. But I want to hear what were your thoughts? Anything stood out um, with the main event for you?
I liked it. It seemed like everyone had their like every person from every team had their moment to shine. You know, Sammy was doing stuff. Pride and Powerful was doing stuff. You saw Hager, going around, knocking people off doing his stuff, and you saw, Jericho and MGF doing their stuff. Even got to see, them doing tag team moves as well. So yeah, it was pretty much probably my most favorite part of the night on Dynamite. Really good match. No surprise with MJF and Jericho winning, as you said, but I mean, there were some moments where I thought, oh, are they going with Sammy right here, and just because I was just getting into it, just because everyone in the match was pretty awesome.
Right. I thought out of the six, I think that Sammy really came out of this match shining really high. Um, his interactions were good. He had some really good interaction with Chris in that match. Obviously, them being the Latex Gods, which is another tag team that Inner Circle could go with. Um, I thought that the story was told really well, especially with the fact that for the majority of the match, MJF stayed out of the ring. He did heelish antics and heelish tricks to like get involved. Most of the time, he stayed out of the ring, so that adds that extra layer of the fact that it's like, is he creating a problem for the inner circle? Is he not? Um, uh, the only thing, and when you're in the main event, obviously you're pushed against the hard out for TV. Um, so the finish definitely kind of felt really rushed. Um, as far as the roll up, MJF getting the tights. Um, but even just like the 1, 2, 3, like there wasn't even really any time to like let that sink in. And I don't know if that was meant to be produced that way. Um, to kind of, you know, it gave you enough to where it's like I know what happened, but I also have questions about what does this mean moving forward with everybody. Um, so yeah, I felt like the ending was just a little rushed for my liking, but I'm excited about it. I'm interested to see where it's gonna go, and even looking beyond, I know like for Impact this week, we're gonna see um the Sexy Hooligans against Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. In a match, so that should be a pretty interesting match to help continue to carry this storyline as well. And um, I know as Dynamite was in the process of finishing up in the main event, they also announced the Beach Break main event, which was going to be the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega against Phoenix and Pac and John Moxley.
Okay.
So that will be, I believe, that's going to be at Beach Break, which will be obviously next week. But um, really interesting to see how that one will play out. Because this will be, I mean, Moxley and Omega have been in the same ring a few different times since their championship match. But now, um, Lucha Brothers have been getting involved in some of the BizCliz business, and um, they're not taking too good to it. So, lots of good questions as we close out this Dynamite moving forward ultimately into what we're going to see this week and the weeks to come.
So what do you want to jump into?
Might as well cover Impact really quickly since we should have done that probably first because there were some things that played into Dynamite, but we'll
Yeah.
hop into the Impact zone and get that going, and then we'll close with SmackDown and see if there's anything that stands out news wise that we need to cover.
Okay. You want me to start or?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Okay. So what occurred the day before on Impact was we got to see a promo of a. It was shot the day after. What was it? Hard to Kill last 2 Saturdays ago.
Last, yeah,
Last
it was
Saturday.
this.
Whatever their
It would have been
their last. Sorry.
2 Saturdays ago now.
Yeah, whatever their last pay per view was, and it was kind of like after their match saying, I don't know, like they're just pretty much like saying like they're going to be going places on something about the invisible hand. I don't know what's what he's talking about with the invisible hand because this is the first time I've watched Impact in a while.
That's the name, like that's the nickname that Don Callis has given himself,
Gotcha.
and the invisible hand comes from talking about like because he and Kenny have been linked for so long together that he talks about like there have been all of these things that if you looked at them in the moment, you didn't see what was going on or how it was happening. But he basically Callis is trying to say, I've been orchestrating this whole thing for a long time to bring us to this point. And so all of these business decisions, all of these things that have been happening, me taking over Impact, me bringing Chris Jericho to fight Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, AEW getting started, all of these different things have been happening. Basically, Don Callis is saying, by my orchestration, I'm the invisible hand moving all these pieces, making all these things happen.
Gotcha. And they're saying they're going to take care of business in Jacksonville, which we talked about earlier. Um, First match of the night, we got to see Eric Young with Violent by Design versus Rhino. Kind of like an old school TNA slash Impact match. Um, I know it's really, I know it's different, but it's just weird to see pretty much Eric Young squashing Rhino. I did not expect that. Um, but pretty much it was all Eric Young. He was working on his legs and pretty much was able to get him by submission. And then he almost broke. I guess would you say he broke his ankle or like injured his ankle by jumping with his putting his ankle in between a steel chair and jumping on it? Because I don't know if that means it's a broken ankle storyline wise or that injured the Rhino. But
I mean, it definitely looked like it could potentially be a broken ankle. Um, I'm looking at a tweet that says "Violent by Design" just destroyed, and it's in all caps.
okay.
Rhino's leg. So we'll see. We'll see what the aftermath was with this week's Impact that has already just happened.
Um, then we got to see Rich Swann promo, who is the. Let me restart that. Up next, we got to see a
Is
Up next, we got to see a Rich Swann promo, who is currently the. Is he the champion? Like, how are they wording it?
he's the Impact World Champion.
Okay, and it's pretty much responding to a post match attack from Moose after Hard to Kill because they were teaming up with who else? Who was the third person?
Chris Sabin.
Chris Sabin, and they lost to Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. And pretty much Swan says if Moose wants a chance at his title, he'll give him that opportunity tonight. And then up next, we got to see. You want you want to say it? Because I think this is stupid.
I mean, this all happened before I got back into watching Impact, so I don't know, but I'm literally going to read this from
Yeah,
what I'm reading on
pretty
this
much.
website. It says
Sorry, pretty
Johnny
much.
Bravo.
Pretty much. There was like someone got murdered on TNA or slash sorry Impact. That's all I know. I don't know who the guy was. It was like during a wedding earlier, like in 2020. Someone got murdered. That's all I know, and they're trying to figure out who murdered that person. Is that correct to say?
That sounds pretty accurate.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it sounds as though we are going to get the solution, or not the solution, but we're going to finally get the answers to this murder to be determined. Um, next up though, coming to the ring, we get the Good Brothers cutting a promo talking about how they're good, how they got a big win, and there aren't any tag teams in Impact that can really step to them. Crispin comes out and says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Me and Alex deserve a championship match, but Alex is hurt. So the Good Brothers are like, get in the back of the line, pal. You don't have a partner." When Saban says, "In fact, I do have a partner," and
Yeah, sorry, but
we
you're damn lip.
we see the return of James Storm to the Impact Zone. He talks about how and he and Saban want to get the tag team titles, and as they're staring down the Good Brothers, we get another surprise and another return to the Impact Zone. This time, the aforementioned Matt Hardy return to the Impact Zone with Private Party. Party talks about how he,
Saved company pretty much.
yeah, Hardy talks about how he saved the company, how he was able to bring the company to a place where they can even exist now. Back in the day, with his broken gimmick and all those things about how him and Jeff saved the tag team division and all of these things. And so Matt's talking about how if anybody needs to be contenders to the World Tag Team Championships, it should be Private Party. And so then it kind of starts this six-way fight between the tag champs, Sabin and Storm, Private Party, and the tag champs do get a good idea. They say, you know what? Let's you guys fight. We'll take the winners, and so that sets up what will eventually be the main event for the night. Pretty sure it was the main event. I hope it was the main event.
You're correct.
Be a really bad. Okay, I was about to say it'd be a really bad podcast host if I said that and was wrong. But it sets up what will be our main event for the night: Private Party versus Sabin and Storm to earn the number one contendership to the Impact Tag Team titles.
Up next, we got to see a backstage interview with Matt Cardona, who made his Impact Wrestling debut at Hard to Kill. He said he came to Impact Wrestling for opportunity. Um, if he's able to get that opportunity and prove that he's able to be that guy, you know, I'm hoping that this is going to be like his. Remember how Christian went from WWE to TNA 2005,
Yes.
and that's where he kind of made his name that he could be the main event guy. I hope Cardona is able to prove everyone that he can be he can be the main guy at Impact, not just being like a Zack Ryder, light character. Like he's gonna be himself because I mean he's proven time and time again that he's able to. He's I mean he's a cool guy and everyone wants to root for him. He just has to get everyone to believe in him once again.
Right. Yeah, hopefully he gets the credit that he is due.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Up next, do we see a Fire and Flavor backstage promo? I guess are they inviting people to their party? And
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to get a party, celebration set up for them winning the championship.
yeah, while that was going on, Brian Myers confronted Fala Bala, not Bala, Fala Ba. Is how you pronounce his last name? Fala Ba.
Um, sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
we're gonna go with that.
they got into a fight, not fist fight, but a match. It pretty much led to them having a match later on the night. Um, and up next we got to see a match, a knockouts tag team match between Kimberly and Susan with knockouts champion Peraza. How you pronounce? Did I get her last name?
Diana,
Diana
Diana Perrazzo.
Peraza versus Jordan Grace and Jazz. I had no idea she was still wrestling.
Yeah, dude, and she's bald, and she's baller.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I don't know why I don't know who the Susan person is, and I don't know why she's wrestling in like a full business attire. But props to her. Um. But Kimberly and Susan defeated Jordan Grace and Jazz. Um. Then what did we see next, Mark?
Well, Susan is she is supposedly, I don't remember what the storyline connection is completely, but she is like the business side of Sue Young. Um,
Okay.
like like Sue Young is a character, and then
Gotcha.
but she has like a almost kind of like Joseph Park and Abyss, kind of not to this same degree, but it's like a similar concept where it's like one person can be two
That only
people.
works with Mick Foley.
Well, and I don't think that this is like a constant thing. I don't think it's to that same
Yeah,
degree, but it's
I just
they give
checked.
you the idea.
Yeah, I just checked her Wikipedia, and she's looked like, yeah, she's looks like someone I've seen before, and yeah, she debuted this character on January 5th of this year. So
Right. After the match, we go backstage, and Taya Valkyrie trying to answer for her loss, where she's confronted by Johnny Bravo, and as well as AC Romero and Tommy Dreamer. They say that Taya was the one who's guilty of uh, setting up this murder. She confesses. She runs into security. Tommy Dreamer makes the comment that yeah, he could or she could end up in the Jacksonville prison for a year to 2 years, or if she gets a really big sentence, she could be in the Stanford maximum security prison for up to 5 years. Obviously, this is a jab at the fact that Tay is leaving the company, and
yeah,
it looks like she could be in
joining her
uh,
hubby.
either joining up with her husband in New York, which would technically be Tampa, or going to AEW, or even and then all three Bravo, Dreamer, and Romero all make the comment that they hope that she doesn't serve her time in Baltimore
Was that
with
Ring
Ring
of
of
Honor?
Honor. Yep. So
Jeez.
as as Valkyrie's being drug out by security, she has one last interaction with Rosemary, who is extremely disappointed that Valkyrie framed Larry D, and then she's taken away from the impact zone forever. Question mark.
Then we got to
Up
see the
next,
worst part of Impact.
up next, we have the most expensive commercial for Impact Wrestling as Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan, and this time accompanied by Jerry Lynn, pay for an advertisement. Tony Khan, uh, Tony Schiavone sends it to Tony Khan, who's at the Impact Zone with Jerry Lynn. They talk about how they're going to be watching the main event very closely tonight. And then Shivani runs down Impact, which we've already run down. And that's pretty much it. From there, we get Rich Swann coming to the ring. He begins to cut his promo about the the match, the 6 man match against the Good Brothers and Omega. He talks about how Moose did really well, though he didn't expect Moose to be a good teammate. Um, and he gets on to Moose, bless you. After realizing that Omega's not in the building, he's like, so I'll focus on Moose tonight. And out comes the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose. Moose is dressed in
Real
a nice
champ.
suit. Moose is dressed in a nice suit. Rich Swann's dressed to wrestle. Um,
Really? I mean, he was
Swann,
wearing like a jacket and jeans.
well, but he's ready to fight in that moment, and
Gotcha.
he's basically, Swann's basically like, let's go now. And Moose stops Swann, and Moose is like, nope, you're on my time to
Hmm.
go when I go. Um, but they end up doing a little bit of brawling. Um, Moose hits a Phoenix Splash, and then we cut backstage after Moose um, leaves the ring. Moose leaves the ring, Swann stands tall, and then we go backstage to Rohit Raju, who's extremely upset to see TJP holding the X Division Championship in Scott D'Amore's office. Scott informs Raju that TJP, no, sorry, Scott informs, it looks like Raju, that TJP is allowed to have it. Talking about the X Division Championship. Now that Raju isn't the champion anymore, in 2 weeks' time, Raju is issued a match against Manik. Um, that's what Raju wanted, another title shot, or he wanted another match against Manik. So Scott gives it to him. Scott then looks at TJP after Raju leaves the office and he says, but it won't be for the title. So Raju does not know that his match will be a non title match 2 weeks' time.
Up next, we got to see another Fire and Flava backstage promo, trying to get people to go to their Fire and Flava festival. Um, they interacted with some people, but then they were interrupted by Havoc and is it Nevada?
Um,
Because the
Navia.
Navia, sorry, I didn't know. The team that they beat at Hard to Kill for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship, and I don't know, they just said they weren't allowed at their festival, pretty much.
Sad.
I have a feeling they're going to force their way in there. Don't you wish?
They better not.
Don't you just wish real life was like wrestling, where people tell me you can't do that, and then like I just be like, nah, I was going there. Stone Cold people, what?
What?
Shh.
What?
Up next, we got to see that Brian Myers Fala Ball match. Um, dude, this I don't like this dude. Fala Ball. Like
That's fair.
they make him seem like he's like a Yokozuna or Viscera type of wrestler. But dude, he's like 5'8", 5'9", like 330. Dude, Brian Myers was towering over him, and they're trying to make him like, oh, you can't lift him. It was just, uh, yeah,
Yeah.
like this isn't the first time I've seen like follow a ball and Impact. Um, but yeah, I don't see the appeal of that guy, none whatsoever. I mean, that guy that was helping out Tommy Dreamer, uh, what was his name? It was more threatening.
Johnny Bravo.
No, he's dead. AC Romero, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the big guy worth wearing the uh Sherlock Holmes like hat. Um,
Right.
but yeah, thankfully Brian Myers won. Um, but yeah, it was just that match is probably my least enjoyable match of Impact, just because of that dude.
I would probably agree. I was not intrigued with this match. I was ready for it to be done. This one was hard for me to pay much attention to. This wasn't about it.
No. Up next, we got to see a promo or a hype package of Hard to Kill with Eddie Edwards defeating Sami Callihan in a barbed wire massacre match. Um, then that led up to another backstage uh, a backstage promo where we see Eddie Edwards getting looked at a position while Brian Edwards demands to be looked at instead, and that kind of led into them two having the match, I guess, tonight on Impact. Um, I'm just reading about this. It's Myers called Eddie a backyard wrestler, which is kind of weird because when I think of Eddie Edwards, I think of him like with the American Wolves, and also his Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship run. So it's kind of weird
Right.
him being called a backyard wrestler. But I don't know. I haven't seen Eddie Edwards in a while, so his style could have changed. But you want to speak on the main event?
Yes, I will. Sorry, I'm reading
Oh,
about the I'm doing some weird reading about, and I shouldn't have done this right now, but I'm reading about the weird um Superstar Spectacle India show,
Oh yeah, yeah, I was getting ready. I was gonna say that towards the end.
and I should not be doing that right now. Anyway, main event we've got um Chris Sabin and James Storm against Private Party. Pretty good back and forth match. I mean, obviously Storm and Sabin are like two staples in Impact Wrestling. Um, but we see some back and forth between them and Private Party. Um, there's a moment that uh, Private Party hits silly string near the end. As this happens, Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn both get out of their chairs and they run some interference near the end of the match. Specifically, Jerry Lynn interferes. Or no, sorry. Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn got up. They were celebrating and stuff. But Jerry Lynn, near the end of the match, he gets up and he interferes to help Private Party set up Chris Sabin for the gin and juice. One, two, three. And by hook and by crook, Private Party are your aforementioned Impact #1 world contenders for the tag team championships. The show closes after we get the Good Brothers standing toe to toe with Private Party, which is then interrupted by a ticked off James Storm and Chris Sabin as the show closes with a huge, huge fight. That's Impact Wrestling this week.
My only issue was I wish Private Party would have won clean, but that was it.
That's fair. But if that is an aspect that helps to um, bring on their heel turn, then I'm all for it.
All right, let's round it out with some
Let's head to the
SmackDown.
Thunderdome.
Yeah. At the kickoff SmackDown, we got Mark's favorite part of WWE, a 20-minute promo kickoff. To kick off, we got to see the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman complained about because they got tricked and bamboozled by Adam Pearce the week prior. Tricking to get Kevin Owens to replace him this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. So while that was going on, Adam Pearce came out and Paul Heyman challenged Adam Pearce to a match later on tonight. Is that the Spark Notes version, Mark?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, I did like it how Roman Reigns was talking about how when he, because Adam Pearce was talking about how he couldn't wrestle because of a bad knee. He was talking about like, my arms hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, and everything like that. He was talking about like the only reason why I didn't show up to work, was because of you know of my health, because that was like when the COVID was going on. That's when he stepped away for a brief time. So
Right.
I liked it how he did say that, like, if that wasn't an issue, I would still would have been there. But yeah, then we pretty much got a Heyman Adam Pearce match for later
Match
on.
of the year candidate.
Yeah, later on the night.
After yeah, after the godforsaken 85 bajillion year promo, Sami Zayn comes out with his conspiracy crew and he has a sign and a chair and he tries to Bernie himself by barricading himself to the or he after the 85 bajillion year long promo, Sami Zayn comes out. He handcuffs himself to the barricade with signs to protest and to his conspiracy theories. After that, we do see the WWE Tag Team Champion Asuka and Charlotte Flair against the Riot Squad with Squad star
Billy
Billy
Kay.
Kay.
Um,
I'm just, you know, my one thing about this match is I'm just very thankful we don't have to hear anything about that harlot Lacey and that four bag Rick from this match. Um, Pretty good back and forth match. Obviously, Billy Kay ends up costing the Riot Squad the match here as the women's tag team champions end up getting a win after Asuka hits a codebreaker style move, which stuns Ruby for her to be hit by natural selection. Charlotte gets the pin as the Riot Squad regroups at ringside as the tag champs celebrate.
yeah, it was good. Kind of agree with what Mark said. Didn't see the raw side of it. This feud. Um, but yeah, it was good. I mean, later on we're probably talking about it, but it seems I don't like it how Billy Kay's art is like affecting is hurting the little Riot Squad in back-to-back weeks, and then like later on, we'll just say right now she got. I mean, even though she was never a member of it, she got kicked out of the Riot Squad, so that is sad.
It's a shame that Ruby. Maybe she'll be able to reunite with her friend in the Royal Rumble. That's a tease.
I got it.
Um, Coming up next, we've got what I think is probably one of the best segments of the night. Obviously, Daniel Bryan coming down talking about the Rumble, how he intends to win the Rumble, where he's interrupted by Cesaro. Um,
What's our?
Cesaro's coming.
It was kind of a good promo as well because he was saying how Daniel Bryan's pretty much won it all, but he hasn't won this, and it's one of those things that's kind of like he wants to win this. It's like the one thing like it has been escaping him.
Right. And then Cesaro cuts a really great promo as well. And Cesaro talks about how he's ready to wrestle now. Daniel isn't ready to wrestle now. So Cesaro issues an open challenge to anybody in the back. And his open challenge is answered by one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler.
Yep, it was a match you've seen pretty much for the past 8 years. I mean, it was a good match, but Cesaro won, and yeah, I'm kind of liking what they're doing with Cesaro. There seem like they're kind of building him to be a threat because he's been kind of building up win after win. Seemed like this year.
I think that they're building up Cesaro because whoever's in charge over there down there in the Thunderdome has been listening to MTPW and they realize the star that they have in the King of Swing, the Swiss Superman, the Swiss Cyborg, the originator, the winner of the inaugural Dre, Cesaro, and his Cesaro section. Put a rocket ship on that man and blast him off to the moon. I hope, I hope, I hope he wins the Rumble, but I know better. He won't. But I wish that he did. But I think,
I
and we'll
agree.
talk more about this. I think we'll talk more about this in our Rumble preview. But I think for me, looking at what we see for the Royal Rumble field so far, it's hard for me to see how a winner for the Rumble. I think the winner from the Rumble is going to come from SmackDown because there's just too many guys that have great momentum and compelling stories to be able to be told from
Dude, Randy
winning the
Orton.
Rumble. Oh my gosh! Don't no 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 no.
Probably Bray Wyatt.
wouldn't be opposed to that, but we'll talk about it later. Right now, we have to talk about um, Reginald and his match against Sasha Banks, which was basically Reginald doing all kinds of acrobatic stuff.
Who is that
Sasha,
dude?
that is Carmella's lackey.
No, I mean, like, who is he?
He's
Like,
Reginald.
no. Like,
No,
is
dude.
he like a guy like Triple H just found, or like, is he like
I'm,
an independent guy, or like what is that? Dude, he doesn't even have his
I
own
don't know.
Wikipedia
Let
page.
me. Um,
He looks like a
I don't
performance center
know.
guy from Missouri. Oh, he's in Circus Soleil.
There you go.
And he's a proud father.
He didn't look half bad though, all things
Yeah.
considered. Played the part well. Sasha gets the win, no surprise. Um, you know, she taunts Carmella as Carmella drinks her champagne by her boyfriend.
Is that a boyfriend?
Corey Graves?
Oh, I thought we were talking about Reginald.
No, I mean on
Yeah,
screen they're a
yeah.
thing, but
Are they?
in real
I
life,
thought he's just kind of like a servant or something.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're together
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
it was, yeah, it was impressive, but yeah. Um, what was up next?
Up next, we've got another 85-year Roman Reigns Paul Heyman
Uh,
backstage promo.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because Paul Heyman thinks that Roman Reigns is gonna fight him, and Roman's like, no, no, I'm not. You're fighting him. You like my Roman Reigns impersonation?
yeah, it's perfect.
Thanks, Mark.
After that segment, we come back from commercial and we get the Intercontinental title match between Apollo Crews and Big E. Match goes back and forth for a little bit. Um, there are some moments where Crews looks like he's got Big E on the ropes. At this point, um, in the middle of the match, we see Sami Zayn uncuff himself from the barrier. He leaps in and he drops Crews with a haluva kick, declare so that Big E loses the match. Apollo wins by DQ. Big E retains the title, and now we've got a bit of a three-way picture for the Intercontinental title. Cruz and Big E are just really confused at Sammy. Sammy is saying that he served justice in this moment, and he didn't ask for what happened. Do you think true justice was served, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, Apollo cheated. You know, he cheated. You know, Sami Zayn cheated, but and he got caught for it. And how come Apollo Crews didn't when he cheated? So yeah, of course he shouldn't win the Intercontinental title. Do you think they're going to do something with those like Sami Zayn conspiracy cameras? Do you think they're ever going to release?
Absolutely
Do you
not.
think you don't
No,
think so? You think they're
no, I
even
don't.
filming
Do I
anything?
think they should? Do I think they should? Absolutely.
I
Will
think they're
they? No.
filming, dude. Like they're pot.
It would be smart if they did.
Yeah, do
That
something
should
like
be the
on.
kind of thing where Sami Zayn is releasing low quality
Yeah.
YouTube videos, but WWE's just wasting opportunities. So, what do you expect?
Yeah, but probably those three are going to have a match for the title at the Royal Rumble. Did we see the obstacle course challenge?
After after that, we get a pretty good promo from uh, Kevin Owens, who
Yeah.
apparently has been banned from Thunderdome. But he talks about how he's had to fight his whole career, and so fighting to be the last man standing isn't anything new to him. Um, Pretty good promo. Ali, Kevin Owens could promo about a broomstick, and I would be entertained by it. So, um, next up, we've got the Street Profits who come to try and congratulate Sonya Deville about her new office and her new job. Profits point to how it's been 2 weeks since they lost their titles and they're ready for a rematch. Deville says Montez Ford is still recovering from injury and tells them to keep doing their funny backstage segments. And lets other teams get a chance, and when they're 100%, they will get their title shot. They hesitate to agree, but then they hand Sonya Deville a nice fruit basket as she walks off. And next up, we get Bailey's Ultimate Athlete Obstacle Course Challenge. Take it away, Tyler.
Oh, do I have to?
Well, I figured you already mentioned it, so it sounded like you definitely wanted to talk about this.
uh, uh, I didn't mind it. Something different. Showed how awesome Bianca Belair is. You know, able to. Well, first of all, while Bailey showed everyone what the course looked like, and I don't. Do you think she's that bad, or do you think she's that? I don't know. She was kind of doing unathletic stuff, like struggling with the course itself, but um, and she had to deadlift Jordan Gable across a certain amount of distance.
Jordan Gable?
What did I say?
That's what you said. Who's Jordan
Oh,
Gable?
Chad Gable.
Shorty G?
Yeah, no, Chad Gable. Um, they had to deadlift him across a certain distance, and they had to make a layup on a basketball hoop. Um, like I said earlier, I don't know if she's doing bad on purpose or whatever, but her time was kind of bad. And then when Bianca Belair's turn, Bailey made the challenge, made the course a little bit harder for her, um, where she had to deadlift Otis across that certain amount of distance, and this was all timed, of course. And as it looked like she was going to beat Bailey's record time by an awful lot, while she got the basketball, a little one-on-one game broke out, and Bailey got her ankles broke, and Bianca Belair slam dunked it on a 13-foot rim. Is that correct to say?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And then Bailey, she spikes a basketball at Bianca Belair and beats her up, and then she leaves.
Is this leading to a Royal Rumble match or the Women's Royal Rumble?
Who knows? I mean, I think it's all leading to Bianca Belair's Chronicle story, now available on the WWE Network. But what do I know?
What was up next for you?
Next up, we have the segment of the night. Um, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio are backstage. Dominic's promising that he knows what to do in his fight with King Corbin, and Rey and Dominic are just promising each other that they know what's going on and what to do. Um, but after that, we come to the ring. King Corbin's in the ring, and then out comes Dominic Mysterio. And my gosh, I mean, I know that Rey's his dad, and we've already kind of talked about the WWE. If you're related to a wrestler, you're kind of like doomed to be that wrestler, whether you like it or not. Um, but Dominic tries to do some of his dad stuff in his entrance and things, and then he just gets squashed by King Corbin. And I know Tyler, this had to have been your favorite segment of the night. What did you think about it?
No.
And why is Dominic
The only
the
person I like in
next
this
future
match was
superstar
King
of our
Corbin.
generation?
He's not. Um, He should have stopped wrestling after, like, he should have just stopped when the whole Seth Rollins feud ended.
He should have stopped after he was in the Eddie Guerrero Rey Mysterio Dominic on a pole match back at SummerSlam.
Well,
I am your Bobby,
he just needs to go to NXT.
or not anywhere.
Yeah, it was a pointless match. Not to see King Corbin win though. You don't agree, Mark?
I mean, the whole thing is just pointless. I
Yeah.
feel sad I watched it. That's all. Then obviously our main event of the evening. And if King Corbin Dominic wasn't the segment of the night, then this match is probably a record breaker in Dave Meltzer's star record rating. Paul Heyman versus Adam Pierce. Do you want me to bring it home, Tyler, or do you want
Well,
to take it?
it would have been a 14 and a half if it was in the Tokyo Dome, but I think you can handle it. 14 and a half
Well,
stars.
we didn't get the Tokyo Dome version. We got the Thunderdome version, and so Adam Pierce is in the ring. Out next comes Paul Heyman. He's strapped. He's strapped. He's ready to fight.
No,
But
he
he falls at
wasn't.
ringside.
All he had
Yeah,
was a taped wrist. That's all he.
yeah. He's
That's all he
strapped
had.
up.
He was wearing
Strapped
his
up his
suit.
fists, and he's ready to
That's
fight.
why he fell off the. That's why he fell off the steps. He was just wearing his business suit. He was just wearing his business shoes. No shape and form
So,
to wrestle against a former NWA champion.
but never mind. I'll save that comment for later this week. Um, so Heyman falls. The referee checks on him, and um, Heyman
Card.
looks at Pierce and he says,
Subject to change.
which of
Roman
course,
Reigns is a nice guy. Roman Reigns is a movie star.
the Roman Reigns comes out to take
Just to be
place of the now injured Paul Heyman. He enters, immediately drops Pierce with the Superman punch. Um, Pierce and Roman fight back and forth a little bit, but then Roman um, gets tossed. Roman tosses Pierce over the barricade. They fight toward the back, and then it looks like Roman's trying to take Pierce up into the stands
what he
where
did
the
to
pyro was.
Kevin a couple weeks ago. Like throw him off that little ramps, like off onto the ground or something like that.
Correct. Um, and after Reigns has just thrown Pierce up onto that second level, a man in a hoodie comes and he attacks Roman Reigns from the back. And who did it? Who was it?
Huh.
It's
Kevin,
exactly who you think it is.
me, Kevin Owens.
Hooded man.
Me, Kevin
It's
Owens.
Kevin Owens. And it's really funny because in the notes that I see here, it says fans cheer as Owens beats Reigns back to the barrier.
Oh yeah,
But there are no fans.
yeah they
They're
are.
all just on little screens giving thumbs up and clapping,
Dude,
but you can't even hear
they're
their clapping.
they're clapping and they're cheering. It's like coming through the mics.
Gosh.
WWE's just cleaning it up. That's why it sounds so good. That's why it sounds fake, but it's really not.
Owens and Reigns fight back and forth. Kevin hits a big stunner. Uh, Reigns rolls out to the floor. Gets sent to the barricade by Owens again. Officials are trying to break up the fight. Reigns gets back on his feet. Owens hits another stunner, and then Owens is yelling at Heyman, and he taunts Heyman. He's like, "Heyman, are you watching? Are you seeing this? Are you watching?" And then Kevin hits a big pop-up power bomb through the announce table with Roman Reigns. At that point, Kevin Owens gets backed away as Roman is laid out on the announce table. Owens tries to take the steel steps over, but he gets stopped. Owens comes back. So Roman, he stands over top of him and he yells how lucky he is to have the officials on his side, but they won't be there at the pay per view. And SmackDown closes as big Kevin Owens continues to taunt the big dog, the big guy, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, it's pretty good, the feud. I'm enjoying it. It's one of those things you wish we had fans.
I agree
It just
for sure.
sucks knowing that it's like the Cesaro. It's like what you were saying with Cesaro earlier. It's hard to root for Kevin just because you know he's just going to lose. You know, he's just going to lose. He's either going to get destroyed or he's going to lose in some BS way. Like, there's no way Roman's going to lose at Royal Rumble.
Right. Which is a shame.
But I don't know
I
that.
also say that because I'm a big Kevin Owens
Yeah,
fan, so
same. That'll be it for SmackDown. Um, anything else you want to say before we close it? Anything else you want to add?
um I mean when we talk WWE later this week, just go ahead and be aware that I am not gonna be pleased with Raw.
Yeah, I got a text message from
Um
this morning.
Gosh, I don't understand how the quote unquote flagship show can be so bad. But we'll talk about that soon
Well, see, I
in
don't
the midst
know.
of our Rumble preview.
Yeah, probably gonna go back to a long time, long episode because we got NXT is in there as well, and it's pretty much round two of the Dusty Rhodes Classic and the Dusty Cup. Um,
As
so
well as a whole nother SmackDown to cover too. We're gonna have to blaze through it.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm probably gonna get up a list together for both men's and women's. You know, see who's declared and everything like that, and then we can kind of talk about like that. You know, give our predictions for this Sunday.
Yeah, that sounds good. And this will be our first prediction
Hmm.
for big pay per view. So we'll see who can get the most predictions, or who can score the most points out of our predictions and be the first crowned predictions champion of MTPW.
Yes, sir. World heavyweight title. But that'll do it for us. Thank you for listening. We'll see. When will we see them?
Well, we won't see you at all, but you'll hear from us sometime later this week.
Okay. Because yeah.
Probably you will probably hear us on Saturday, because we will probably record Friday after SmackDown. I hope.
All right. That's fine. See you this Friday. Saturday. See you this Saturday.
Saturday, Saturday, Saturday.